Hello everyone and welcome to another webinar by the Small Business Center. I'm Rehan Abdul Mukhni, your presenter, and this week we are going to talk about Facebook timeline for business pages. As you may be aware of, on February 29th, Facebook made several major announcements changes to their services as well as their platform, three of which are going to impact businesses and companies. Timeline for Facebook is one of them, changes to their mobile platform as well as changes to their advertising platform. In this webinar, we are only going to talk about changes to the timeline, but in a future webinar, we are going to talk about the changes to their advertising platform because some of the changes are actually pretty good and very exciting for small businesses. So we will do that in a future webinar. Today, we are going to talk about what timeline is, what the main changes are, how to optimize and manage your timeline business page, and how to use timeline for competitive analysis. And as usual in the end, we will answer any questions that you may have. The key date to keep in mind is March 30th. As I mentioned, on February 29th, they made the announcement. On March 1st, the changes were made available to all businesses. However, Facebook is giving everybody a month to make those changes before they automatically convert everybody over to the timeline format. If you have not made any changes by then, your Facebook will still be converted over to the timeline on March 30th. So March 30th is a date to remember and keep in mind as we progress through the webinar. There is one particular change that you must make before March 30th, which is a change to your cover page, and I'll tell you in a minute why. So why the changes? Officially, Facebook is saying that the new timeline format will allow businesses to tell their story in a better and easier way to their customers and their potential customers. And I agree with that. It is a better way and an easier way to tell the story. But of course, there is a bigger reason for that, which is to drive advertisement revenue to Facebook. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. As a matter of fact, it's a good thing because now Facebook, that they need to generate more revenue, they are more focused, they are more concentrated on developing applications, developing features that would help company do business on Facebook, get more business on Facebook, acquire more customers on Facebook. So all of these changes so far have been good, and I suspect that the new changes that are coming over the weeks and months will make it better for businesses to do business on Facebook. So what is timeline? When you go to your timeline business page today, this is what you would notice. A couple of things you would notice is the cover page, the profile page, the profile image rather, changes on the navigation menu, and of course the timeline that you see on the right hand side going down all the way as far back as to the founding of your company. The two things that you need to consider first of all is the cover photo. The cover photo is 850 pixels wide by 315 pixels high. Now don't worry about remembering all of these dimensions. At the end of the webinar, I will give you the link to our Facebook page from where you can download the resource guide. The resource guide includes all of the dimensions as well as some other tips that you will find helpful as you build your business page. Plus, you can also download a copy of this slide as well, of these slides as well. So you will have all of these dimensions. The second thing is the profile image here, which is 180 pixels by 180 pixels when it is displayed next to the cover photo. However, the profile image is also the image you will see when it is displayed next to the posts that you make. So any post you make either on your business page or anywhere else on Facebook as your business page, that is the profile that you will see, but that profile will be shrunk down to 32 pixels by 32 pixels. Now, in terms of the cover photo itself, there are several things that you cannot put on the cover photo as it is stated in the terms and conditions by Facebook. So you cannot put any price or purchase information. So you cannot say $100 ticket flight from Los Angeles to Albuquerque. You cannot say 50% off sale this week. So you cannot have that kind of information on the cover photo. You cannot have any contact information. That includes not only your business address and your telephone number, but also your website address, your email address, or anything else which would allow people to contact you on the cover photo itself. You also cannot have any call to action, so you cannot say buy now or like us. And therefore, you cannot also refer to any of the Facebook features such as like or share. Now, in the past, you may have seen business pages that have arrows pointing down to the like button and saying like us now. You cannot have that at either as well. However, these terms and conditions, these restrictions apply only to the cover photo itself. You can and perhaps should put any or all of this information anywhere else on the Facebook business page except the cover photo. So, a couple of things that I would like to mention with regards to the profile image itself. Make sure that your profile image is the one that is going to help you build your brand awareness, will help you build your brand recognizability, right? So for example, if you were to look at these florist examples here for both of them, if I were to have seen this picture displayed elsewhere on Facebook, I will never associate that picture with this business. And the same thing goes for them as well. Now, on Facebook, you should be putting in new content, which means that not only your posts must be fresh and new, but your pictures must be fresh and new as well. So for example, in the florist case, your cover photo, they should be changing their cover photo frequently, at least for special occasions. So for example, during Valentine's or Mother's Day or Christmas time, they should be putting in pictures that are going to have more association with those special times and will be celebrating those special times. However, the profile picture itself should not be changed frequently. As a matter of fact, it should not be changed at all for a long periods of time, because that's the image that you will use to build your brand awareness throughout Facebook. So make sure that Facebook profile image is the one that you keep consistent. Now here are a couple of examples. In the first one with Coca-Cola, you will see that they have used their bottle, which also of course have the logo. The bottle itself is very recognizable. It is something that anybody will see, even without the logo, will associate it with Coca-Cola company. And I suspect that most of the businesses will go down that road, that is, use their logo as a profile picture, so that they can build that awareness throughout the customer base. But Old Spice, of course, have gone a different way, right? They have used the picture of their spokesperson, which is not to say that it's a wrong thing to do, especially in the case of Old Spice, because Old Spice have spent lots of money on TV advertisement and on YouTube videos promoting the spokesperson as something that becomes recognizable with Old Spice. Now, I suspect that most small businesses don't have that kind of resources to spend that kind of money to build a brand awareness, which they can then change, because Old Spice, when they change their spokesperson, they have to then start the process all over again to build that awareness for that spokesperson. So while Old Spice has been able to do that, I'm not so sure if small businesses should be doing something like that. The other thing that you would notice with Old Spice is that they actually have become very creative. They have merged the image of profile picture as well as the cover photo together. So for example, if you start at the base of the mountain with the cover photo, you will notice that the edge of the mountain goes from the cover photo and merges into the profile image and then merges out back into the cover photo. Very creative. And if you do something like that, it's okay to do, but keep in mind two things. First of all, your profile image will be displayed elsewhere on Facebook, and therefore it must be able to stand on its own and not only when it is visible with the cover photo. So for example, in this case, the smaller picture, the profile image, the shrunk down image, is still recognizable as an Old Spice spokesperson, so that's okay. And that's the second thing, right? Your profile image will be shrunk down to 32 pixel by 32 pixel square, so it should also remain recognizable even at that small size. So let me give you an example of this company that followed the path of Old Spice and became creative, where they merged the cover photo and the profile image together. And it looks pretty decent when taken into account together. But if you were to look here at the profile image, 32 pixel by 32 pixel, standing by itself, just the mouth of a dog or the teeth of the dog, it does not without the context of the cover photo, it does not stand on its own very well. And secondly, I'm not sure what the brand awareness and recognizability of the mouth of a dog in association with this company, the company which saying that they are a press release writing and distribution service. So I don't see the brand awareness that goes together. So keep those things in mind as you build your profile image and your cover photo. So currently, the business page, this is what it looks like. In particular, what I like to show you is the navigation menu here that's placed vertically on the left-hand side. The menu images are fairly small, but the good news is that previously, or currently rather, you can put as many menu items as you had wanted to, right? While most people would recommend, including myself, that you don't have too many menu items, but the fact is that you could as many as you wanted to. But this is the new format. You will notice that first of all, the menu now is placed horizontally rather than vertically. The images are much more prominent, much bigger, much easily seen and recognizable. However, you can only put 4 apps, and these, by the way, are called apps in the Facebook timeline. You can only have 4 apps shown above the fold. Now you can have up to 12 apps, but the rest of the 12 apps will be below the fold, and you would have to click on this down arrow to see the rest of the apps, and the number next to it tells you how many more apps there are below the fold. But you now are limited to up to 12 apps, and only 4 of them are going to be visible when you first go to the business page. So that's the downside of it. Now, as you would notice that I have numbered these items, so let me talk about each item separately. The first one is the About section. This is where you can enter the information about your business, and you can enter as much information as you like. However, only the first 150 characters are going to be visible when somebody visits your website the first time. When they click on the About link, then they will see the page with the rest of the information. So make sure that the first 150 characters are the one that is going to engage the most, that is going to grab the attention the most, that is going to get them to talk to you, to like you, to become your fan, and hopefully to buy from you. At the end of the day, that's the goal here, is that they do business with you. So make sure that the 150 characters are the one that the first 150 characters are the one that you want to make sure that they're visible. Now, if you're a local business, then the information that will appear in the About section is actually going to be your address, your phone number, and your hours of operation. You actually have no control over that if you're a local business. This information will appear automatically for you. If they click on the About section, then of course they will see the rest of the information that you have entered then there. The other thing to note is that at least for the local businesses, this area, which is the category of the business they are, it's a clickable item. It's a hyperlink. So when somebody clicks on it, it will take them to another page where it will list all of the businesses of that category in that area. So if I were to have clicked on the florist here, I would see all other florists in downtown Vancouver area. Just something that you should be aware of. Now, as I mentioned, these are your navigation items, these are your apps. However, the first app that will always appear in the first position is the Photos app. This is a native Facebook application that you cannot delete and that you cannot move. It will always appear in this position no matter what business you're in. So in essence, what this means is that you actually now only have control over the 3 apps, not the 4. Okay. The second app that will always appear that is a native Facebook application is this Like button, or the Like app. This will always appear, and like the Photos app, you cannot delete it. However, unlike the Photos app, you can move it. So you can move it to a different position. You can even move it below the fold if you want to. So in essence, what you want to do is you want to make sure that the three apps that you do have control over are the ones that is going to create the most engagement with your customers, and your potential customers will get them to like you, to fan you, and again, as I said, at the end of the day, do business with you. Now, if you're a local business, or if you are a business that have a Facebook Places associated with it, in other words, you are a business on Facebook that has a business address on Facebook, then the other native app that will always appear is Maps. You cannot delete it, but you can move it to a different location, even below the fold if you like, but you cannot delete that. Now, this map application will only appear if you have an address on Facebook associated with it. In other words, you are either a local business or you are a business with a Facebook Places profile. Otherwise, you will not see this app at all. Now, this message area, this is something new that will be available or is available in the timeline format. This would allow any Facebook user, they don't have to be your fan, but if they are a Facebook user, this will allow them to message you privately instead of placing a post on your public wall. So for example, let's say they have placed an order with you and they're inquiring about that order. They can send you a private message and include their order number, which they wouldn't want to include if it was a profile visible publicly. They can include that order number and send you a private message to which you can reply back to them. So this is just another channel you can use as a customer service method if you so choose to, and I will come back to that later in the webinar when I talk about managing your Facebook timeline. Now, essentially, when you go to Facebook business page for the first time, this is actually what you will see. So you would notice that the browser is actually slightly scrolled down, and that is done automatically by Facebook. And the reason Facebook is doing that is because they want to show part of your wall and not just part of your cover photo and your profile. And so what that means is that your cover photo now is not completely visible, right? The cover photo height is 315 pixels high, but only the 115 pixels from the bottom is going to be visible, not the entire 315 pixels. This, of course, will depend on your browser settings. So in some browser, depending on how you have set that, you may see the whole picture of the cover photo, or you may see even less than that. Again, that depends on how you have set your browser profile. But most of the time, what you will see is 315 pixels from the bottom of the profile photo. You will see your profile image, you will see your navigation buttons, and then you will see part of the wall. And of course, you will see your timeline on the side. Now, here's the thing with the wall, right? As you can see, Facebook has 29 million fans. But the first thing that I see here are two of my friends who also like Facebook, like Starbucks. Right, so what does that mean? For a company like Facebook that's very, very big and is everywhere, it's not going to be necessarily a major concern. But imagine here you are a small business, which you probably don't have to imagine. You probably are a small business, or your clients are a small business, and this would add some social proof to that business. So again, imagine you're a small business that I have never heard of, but you are in my city, and I just found out about your business and I know nothing about you. I go to your business page on Facebook, and instantly what I see is a couple of my friends who like you as a business, right? There is an instant trust now that I have in your business, not because I know anything more than I did about your business 2 seconds ago, but because I have a couple of friends that I know and I trust who also like you. Because the friends that I trust like you, I now have trust in you. Right? So this becomes kind of important for small businesses to think about and see how they can expand their fan base on Facebook, especially if they're doing local business. So their local businesses must expand. The fan base must be of their local businesses, right? Don't go and buy fan base from people who will sell you 100 fans for $10 because they may be from other parts of the world. That is not going to get you the social proof that you want, because if your fans are from other parts of the world that I don't know, and I go to your page and I don't see them, I won't see them in this box because they're not my friend, right? So this is now going to become somewhat important for smaller businesses to think about expanding their fan base. So as I scroll down, the second thing that I will see here is that not only that two of my friends have liked Starbucks, but one of my friends, and she didn't have to be have liked Starbucks, but one of my friends have made a comment on the wall for Starbucks. This is somewhat of a double-edged sword, because in this particular case, my friend actually have made a positive comment. She likes the caramel mocha at Starbucks. And imagine though if it was a negative comment. Imagine that instead of saying that she likes the Starbucks caramel mocha, she had said, you know, I went to Starbucks this morning and I had to wait 20 minutes in line. They got my order wrong and the cashier was pretty rude to me. Now what? How should you handle that? Many businesses that I have spoken to always say, oh, I will delete that, or I won't let people to post on my Facebook page. And that's exactly the wrong attitude. You don't want to take that attitude. Instead, what you want to do is that you want to publicly apologize to your customer who have put a bad comment, and try and make it right with that customer. So in that case, for example, you could say something like that: I'm very sorry that you had a bad experience at our establishment today. Please come back, ask for me personally, and I'll take care of you, and I'll make sure that your needs are met. Here's what the deal is, right? Two things are going to happen. First of all, everybody knows that we are all human and we all make mistakes. Everybody knows that businesses are run and managed by humans. So as humans, we make mistakes. It's not a big deal. It's how you react to that mistake, right? If you react by deleting the message, people are not going to like it. If you react by apologizing and accepting that the mistake was made and moving forward with that, people are going to forgive you and will continue to do business with you. But that takes the scenario again of where you have deleted the message. So what would this customer do? And the customer, let's say they come back to your site and your Facebook page and saw that that message was deleted. How do you think they're going to react, right? They might let it go, or they might actually get even more irritated with you, right? So not only are they going to tell all your friends what you did, but they're going to tweet about it. They're going to go on their LinkedIn status profile and they're going to say about it. They're of course going to go on their Facebook profile status update and they're going to talk about that. And they're going to go to other places, other social media, and they're going to talk about that, right? Other places where you cannot delete that comment. So if you had a customer who had talked about their bad experience, what they're actually telling you, look, I'm really upset with what you did, but I think I still like you. If you make it right for me, I'll come back and do business with you, right? Because if they had not done that, they still will talk about you. They still will badmouth you. But because they have talked about it subconsciously on your Facebook page, subconsciously what they are actually trying to tell you is that they still do like you. Just make it right for them and they'll come back and do business with you. So do that, okay? Now, if I scroll down further, as we have seen here, you will see the rest of my Facebook wall. And these posts are going to be placed randomly either on the left column or the right column, depending on where there is space. The only thing that will always stay in position are these 5 things. On the right hand column, you will always, you will have these three boxes, depending on whether you have friends who have liked and posted comments on your page or not. You will see those if they have. If they don't, you will not see these 2 boxes, but you will see this box, which is recent comment by other by other fans of Starbucks. So they will always appear on the top of the column. On the left-hand column, you will always have this box where they can post messages and post photos if you allow them. And if the administrator of this page has pinned any posts, and that can be indicated by this ribbon that you will see that. If they have pinned any posts, then you will always see this on the top. And I'll come back to the pinning of the post in just a second. But other than that, all posts will be randomly placed either on the right column or the left column, depending on where their space is, and they will just go down through that. So, as I mentioned, the timeline. This is your timeline. And what you can do is you can actually start putting in events for your business as they had happened throughout the years. And I said you can go back as far back as you want, all the way back to the day you were opened. In this case, for example, Starbucks have said in 1987, when they opened their first store in Chicago and Vancouver, that was the event that they're placing in their timeline. And of course, if you clicked on any of these other timelines, you will see the events that they had done then. And any of the things that you will see here, how many people have liked this particular event and how many people have commented about this particular event. So of course, what happens is when people like and comment, that like and that comment not only appears on the Starbucks page or your business page, but also on their newsfeed, visible potentially to all of their friends. Right, so this is the way now you're developing your story, you're building your story, and as people, your customer, your fan base like those stories, they comment about that and they like it, and that appears on their news feed, which might make it curious for their friends to come and say, okay, who's this business that my friend just commented about or liked about? Let me go and check them out. So this is the way where you're going to build. The more you have fans, the more reach you will have, the more ability you will have to reach their customers. And this, as opposed to, in comparison rather, to Starbucks, this story by Old Spice on May 5th, 1938, where they are talking about how they were formed. Now, as you can see, in contrast to Starbucks, where Starbucks was very straight-laced, very upfront, very matter-of-fact type thing. This is what happened on that day. Old Spice has gone and made a bit of a humorous story out of it, right? I'm pretty sure that the date is still right, May 5th, 1938, when they were formed, but I'm sure that this is not the event that led to the formation of the company. So you can be humorous as long as that humor is not going to lead anybody to believe that you are misleading them, that you're lying to them, or you're trying to deceive them, right? Nobody we will agree that this is not deceptive, even though it's not the true story. So how do you add timeline to the business page? When you log in as an administrator, you will see this box where, normally you can also put your status in your photo, but then you will also see your timeline, right? If you click on this timeline, you will get this box to pop up, and the two things that you must fill in here is, number one, the event, what happened, and when it happened, the year. Only the year and the event are the required fields that you have to fill in. Everything else is optional. You may want to put in a location like Starbucks did in case of when they opened the store in Chicago and Vancouver. You probably do want to put the story in there, even though the story itself is optional. You probably do want to put it, right? What happened that day? What was the milestone? What was the event? And again, the photo is also optional, but you most probably want to upload the photo because it will probably tell the story a little bit better than otherwise. And of course, by the way, going back for a second, if you had made any mistakes, you can always go back and correct it. So it's not that if you have done it once, you're stuck with it. It's not a writing in the stone, right? So you can always go back and change if you had made any mistakes. Now, there are two ways the timeline provides you with allowing you to engage with your fan base. The first one is highlighting a post. What that means is that when you're logged in as an administrator and when you hover above any of the posts, you will have these two icons pop up. If you click on the star icon, it will highlight that message. What that means that from one column that it currently takes position at, it will expand across both columns and take position on both of those columns, both right and left columns. So here's what's going to happen, right? Somebody is scrolling down through your timeline. They see post in the right column and the left column, and they're scrolling down, and then they come to a post which actually is on both columns, right? They're going to pause for a second. They will see something is highlighted because they're going from two columns to just one column now. So they will see something is highlighted. It will make them pause. Now, just like that, I actually should put a better picture in that is wider picture. Anyways, this is the way it will be highlighted. You can always unhighlight a post by again hovering above it and clicking on the star icon again, and it will unhighlight it and go back to the single post as it was before. The second thing you can do is pin a post. The difference is this: when you highlight a post, it's highlighted chronologically properly. So for example, if there's a post, let's say, that was made 6 months ago, and since then there are other posts in there, and when you highlight the post, it will still be 6 months ago, except it will be across both columns. So somebody will actually have to scroll down manually, physically have to scroll down to see the highlighted post, right? But if the post is very important, you may want to pin it to the top. What would happen then, even if this post was done 6 months ago and you have pinned it, it will jump to the top of the page, and so now it will be visible at the very top, right? So in this case, for example, I had made this post and then I went ahead and made another post. So chronologically, this is the second post, but I want it to appear at the top, right below where you will do the status update. So when I hover above it, and this will only happen if you're logged in as an administrator, when I hover above it and then I click on the pencil icon, I can click on pin to top, and when I do that, it will chronologically jump up, even though the date of the post is still going to be chronologically accurate, but it will jump up to the top of the post. And as you can see now, I have the ribbon, and as you can see, it's above every other post on the left-hand column. So this is how you pin a post. Now you can of course unpin a post anytime you want by doing the same thing. Hover above it, click on the pencil icon, and click on unpin the post, and you can do that anytime. However, if you don't do it for 7 days, it will automatically unpin the post. So every 7 days it will automatically unpin the post. You can now go back and repin it, but it will be unpinned at the end of 7 days. A couple of questions that I can get asked off, so I just want to answer that right up front. You cannot pin a post and highlight the post at the same time. So you cannot have this post taking position across both columns and be on the top of the wall as well. You cannot do that. You can only pin one post at a time, so there's only one post that can be on the top, but you can highlight as many posts as you like, but you can only pin one post at a time. Now, if I were to click on any of these navigation menu, it will take me to the app page, and this is what the app page looks like. There's not much to say about the app page except for the fact that you now have a lot more space with the timeline than you do currently. With the current business pages, you only have space for up to 510 pixels wide. With the new space, you have 850 pixels, actually my apologies, 810 pixels wide. So you now have more space, more real estate, more information that you can put in there, a better ability essentially to engage with your customers. So depending on what your application are, you have a lot more space to play with here. So how do you convert your business page to the timeline? When you log in to the business page, what you will see is this page, and log in as an administrator, by the way. And the first thing you will notice is the start the tour button, and I highly recommend that you do take the tour, right? It is very informative. It will take you through all of the features, through all of the changes, and so I highly recommend that. What you don't want to do right away is click on publish now. When you click on publish now, your Facebook will convert over to timeline immediately, and you cannot go back. Once you click on publish now, you now have timeline and you cannot go back. But before you click on publish now, you can make as many changes as you want, and nobody will see it except you when you're logged in as an administrator. So I recommend that you go ahead and make as many changes as you like, but only till March 30th. On March 30th, everything will convert over to timeline, whether you have clicked on publish now or not. Even if you have not clicked on publish now, your business page will convert over to the timeline. Now, when it converts over to the timeline on March 30th and you have not made any changes, everything that is on your Facebook business page today will convert over properly to the timeline format. That includes all of your posts, that includes all of your profile image, that includes most of your applications, depending on how many applications you have. What the position will be, whether they will be above the fold or below the fold, may remains to be seen, but they will all convert over, with one exception. The only thing that will not convert over is the cover photo. And the reason for that is, of course, on today's page, on today's um, business page, there is no cover photo. So you cannot convert over something that is not available right now. So what does that mean? On March 30th, if you do not have a cover photo, everything will convert over, but your cover photo will be empty, right? 850 pixels wide by 315 pixels high space will be completely empty. It will be blank. Your business page will look broken. So if there's nothing else that you do to your timeline, the only thing that you must do before March 30th is make sure that you have uploaded a cover photo. Now, if you have time, then of course you want to make sure that everything else looks proper as well. But if you don't, at least make sure that the cover photo is there. So when everything converts over on March 30th, that area, the big area, does not look blank and broken and empty. Okay, now that we have converted over, how do you manage your business page? Once you convert over, this is, and you log in as an administrator, this is what you will see the first time, whenever you log in, right? You will see your admin panel, you will see your control panel, and most of that information that you have here is available today, except it's not easily available. You have to find it, you have to click on several links to get to that. But with the new format, everything is placed prominently. At least the main things are placed prominently for you to know what's going on with your business page. The couple of things I will draw your attention to is notification and the likes. These are the most recent notification and most recent likes. If you want to see the previous ones, you can always click on see all, and you can go back and see the previous ones as well. See the previous one as well. So what does that mean for you? What should you do with that? When somebody liked you and you just noticed it, or when somebody have liked your post or commented on your post, you actually want to go back and engage with them. You want to either thank them at the very least, or if they have commented it, you may want to comment back on that. Why do you want to do that? Besides the fact that it's just a polite thing to do, when you thank them or comment on their comment, what would happen is that that comment will appear not only on your business page, but it will also appear on their personal timeline, which means now there's a potential for that comment to be seen by all of their friends. Now, if they have, for example, liked your photo or commented on your photo, and you also said, hey, thank you for doing that, now you're driving that engagement not only with your fan, but also making all of their friends curious, right? They may say, okay, why is my friend liking this photo? Maybe I should go and check it out. And they will come to your business page, and they may become your fan as well. They may like you as well. And again, hopefully at the end of the day, they may do business with you as well. Now, other than this, if you want to manage the rest of your business page, what you need to do is click on this manage drop-down menu, and you will get the drop-down menus like so. And a couple of things to notice here. The first one is the banned user section. I recommend that you check it every now and then, maybe once a week, maybe once a month, depending on how much activity you have here. What is the banned user page? This is what's happening. Very much like the email box that you have, the email inbox you have a junk folder or a spam folder in there. What happens is this. Email comes in, your email providers looks through it automatically and tags spam, right? So if it thinks that there is an email that's coming in that's a spam or a junk mail, it will tag it as such, and instead of putting it in your inbox, it will put it in your junk folder or your spam folder. So Facebook is doing the same thing, right? When somebody posts on your business wall, it tries and detects it, whether if it's a legitimate post or if it's a spam post or a junk post. And if it gets tagged as a junk post, it will, instead of posting it on your wall, it will put it in the banned user folder. Now, very much like your email box, once in a while you will go into your spam folder and you would notice that most of the emails are spams. But every now and then you will notice that a properly legitimate email has actually been placed in a spam folder. It may be from your friend or your colleague or even perhaps from your client, right? For some reason or other, it goes into your spam folder, right? The same thing happens here. Sometimes if you go there, you would notice a perfectly okay post from your friend or your colleague or your client ends up in that area rather than in your wall or on your wall. So what you want to do is obviously move that on your wall and deal with that if it needs to be dealt with. So frequently enough, go back and check what's in the banned users list, and if there's a proper post or a legitimate post that shouldn't be in there, move it out of the way. The other thing is the edit page. Let me click on that, and when we go to the edit page, a couple of things that you want to see here. The first one is everyone can post on the business, or rather your business timeline, and then everybody or that you want to show your recent post by others on your business page. Now, by default, both of these things are checked, and I recommend that you leave them checked. Some businesses don't want to leave them checked because, as I mentioned earlier, they're afraid that they're going to get negative comments and they don't know how to deal with the negative comments, or they'd rather not show it. Now, Facebook is giving you that option. You can decide not to show it, but here's what's going to happen. If you don't show it, then there is no way for your customers, your potential customers, to post messages on your wall. And if they're not posting messages on your wall, there's no engagement. If there's no engagement, then their friends are not seeing you either, right? And then, of course, this whole concept of edge rank. For those of you who are not familiar with what edge rank is, we will be doing a webinar in the future about Facebook marketing, where we will include concept about page rank. Edge rank, but edge rank in Facebook is very similar to page rank in Google. For those of you who are familiar with what a page rank is, if you're not, don't worry, we will do another event on that as well on Google on SEO. But essentially what edge rank is this: the more engagement that you have with people, the higher you're going to get ranked. Not only will you get ranked high in search engines like Bing and potentially on Google and all the Google. I'm not going to get into the whole thing with Google and Bing and Facebook right now because it's a very complicated things going on with them. Essentially, they are at war with each other, right? But anyways, what that means happening is that you need engagement. You need engagement with your fans. You need engagement with their friends to get a better edge rank rating, which will help you get higher in search engines, which will help you reduce potentially, not necessarily, but potentially reduce your cost for advertisement. So you want to make sure that you're engaging with them is the point I'm trying to make here. The second thing here is everyone can add photos and videos. Now that's entirely up to you, right? You may want people to be able to share videos with you or photos with you, or you may not. That's entirely up to you. But the thing that I want to mention is the message. Remember that message where people can send you the message and privately rather than posting it on publicly. You can choose to either show that or not show that. If you're one of those people who don't log into their Facebook pages very frequently, let's say they only log in once a week or once a month, you probably then don't want the message box in there, because if somebody sends you a message privately, they are expecting to hear back from you. And if they don't hear back from you, then that's not good customer service. So if you're not checking your administrative site very frequently, you may want to take that out. But that's again is a decision that every business have to make individually. Now, where the message will appear, if I can go back for a second, will be here. Any new message that is messaged privately will appear here, and then you can reply to that. Then you can reply to that. Right, going forward, comparative analysis. Now, this is something that some businesses like and some businesses don't like, but you don't have a choice either way, right? As I mentioned earlier, one of the native apps that you will always see on Facebook is your like button, right? So what happens here is that you don't even have to be a fan of this page, right? You can go to any page on Facebook, any business page on Facebook, and you click on this like button, and what you will see is this information. Now, some of this information, like how many people have liked this business page and how many people are talking about this business page, is available to everybody today and visible to everybody today. What's not visible and available to people who are not the administrator of the site is this rest of that information. But with the timeline, anybody can see that. And there are two pieces of information I will point you to. The first is the demographic information. Where are most of the customers coming from and what their age group is, right? So for this business, Magnolia Bakery, which I believe is in New York City. Most of their fans are in New York City between the ages of 25 and 34. So what does that mean to you? Let's say you are a competitor of Magnolia Bakery. As a matter of fact, you are right across the street from Magnolia Bakery. You may not even be on Facebook, but you are trying to figure out, okay, how do I compete with Magnolia Bakery? How do I get the similar people to come to my bakery, right? And you are thinking about, let's say, doing a newspaper advertisement or an advertisement on a radio show or a TV show, right? What you are going to then look for are people who read that newspaper or listen to that radio or watch that TV show that live in New York City and are in the age group of 25 and 34 years old. But let's say that you are on Facebook. Let's say you want to do Facebook advertisement. Let's say you want to do Google ad advertisement. Let's say you want to do an advertisement on LinkedIn. You can now use that information from your competitor to target and tell Facebook and Google and LinkedIn that only show my advertisement to people who live in New York City and are in the age group between 25 and 34. So that's one thing. The second thing, as you would notice, are these two dates, right? The most popular week, the most visited week. What you would want to see, especially here where it's saying even how many people have visited during that week, right? That's a fairly big number for a small business. Well, frankly, even these two numbers are fairly big for a small business, right? But here's the thing. What happened during that week, right? So as a competitor, you can now go to Magnolia Bakery's timeline and you can look for these 2 weeks, the week before that and the week after that, and see what happened. What did they do? Did they have a discount? Did they have a coupon? Did they have an event? Did they have a celebrity come in? What happened during that week that drove that kind of engagement? Now, word of caution, that information may not always be available on the timeline, right? It may be something that they did off Facebook. It may be something that they did off online. It may not even be online. It may have been an advertisement in the newspaper that may not appear on the Facebook timeline. But the first place that you want to take a look at is the timeline and see if you can figure out what they did and if you can do potentially the same thing. Now, of course, keep in mind that you can look at this data for all of your competitors, but also all of your competitors can see your data as well. So it's a kind of a double-edged sword, and there's no way to hide this information, by the way, in case you're wondering, and I have been asked that question before. This is visible now. Now in the future, Facebook may decide that they don't want to show it anymore, but as of right now, it is something that's available publicly. Now, as I mentioned, this is pretty much a webinar today. You can download both a copy of these slides as well as a resource guide. The resource guide, again, include all of the dimensions that we have talked about and include some other helpful tips and tips that you can use to build your own Facebook business page. If you go to facebook.com/smallbusinesscenter, notice that the center has no E in the end. It is CENTR. So if you go to Small Business Center on Facebook and then go to resources, you have to like us. Our apologies for that. We are trying to improve our own likes. So you do have to like us, and then you can click on the resources and download both a copy of these slides as well as the resource guide. And thank you very much for the webinar. If there are any questions, I will be happy to answer them. Other than that, the webinar is officially over. Thank you again, and see you next week on our next webinar. Bye-bye.